What's good, everybody? It's Gloria Joy, aka G Money, aka Big Glow with the dub, aka Glow if you know, and Lady G if you what? Nasty. And we're here with the bestest to ever do it, my co-host.
Hey y'all, it's E. And today is a special day because we have a special guest with us on the pod. Let them know who it is, though.
It's my bestie.
Hey.
Ooh, this is exciting. Tell them how we got here, friend.
So I happened to be with the two best friends on Glow's birthday, and I was watching the dynamic of conversation between them, and I thought that would be very entertaining, but also very enlightening to have on the pod. So I was like, let's get your friend in. Let's have a conversation with her. So I'm looking forward to this episode together.
All right. And so without further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Big Breezy, Miss Stewart, Appreciate Denise, Miss Stewart if you're nasty. Come on out here. Yeah. Woo, 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 woo.
Have a seat. Get comfortable.
Welcome to the space.
Thank you.
How you feeling today?
I feel wonderful, fantastic. I'm excited to be here. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm nervous too, but we're gonna just go for it.
I mean, hey, this is a safe space, a creative space, just a what is it? What other space is it? I don't know.
What
all
you said, I ditto everything that you just said. You hit it right, nail on the head.
Perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm grateful. I'm happy that my best friend is here. This is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's Saturday. It's a good day. It's a little rainy, but that's all right.
Lots of clouds in the sky.
And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the day. How you doing?
I feel 10 times better because I put something in my stomach.
Amen.
Some cheese, some crackers.
Nourishment.
I shared with you.
She did.
You liked it. You were happy.
I love
an
adult Lunchable situation.
Hey, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's nostalgic. It's childhood. We love that. So yes, absolutely. So yeah, I'm excited to get into today's topic because today specifically, we're going to be unpacking our experiences as women and the transitions that we have been through. So we've titled this episode, "The Seasons of Women." Claps for that. Yeah. And so we're just going to break down what each stages look like. And I kind of will start us off. Mm-hmm. So for example, what was it like being a young girl? So if you could describe yourself at that stage in your life as in 3 words, essentially, what 3 words would you use to describe who the little girl in you was at that time? So for me, I definitely would say like very bossy job. And probably very much wanting like to belong and to fit in, but not trying to be like everybody else. So having a sense of just like wanting community. I think I knew that at a young age, but I wanted to direct how things were in a sense. And another way, that's not a word, but I don't know what a word is for that. And then a third thing I would use is probably like curious, which that's funny because I do believe I used curious in our debut episode is like, how would you describe yourself? Yeah. So it's nice to know that that's consistent. Mm-hmm. So like curious, wanting or like craving community, and bossy is how I would describe young me. And so I'm interested in how you guys would describe, or how you ladies would describe yourselves, and whoever wants to start first. Would you like to start? Okay.
Before I graduated high school, I say I was more of the like quiet, which is funny now because people be like, I cannot imagine you quiet. But back then, like even to the point where like my teachers in elementary school like talk to my mom and be like, she's so sweet and she's really good at school, because my mom's like, well, what'd she do? She's like, no, she's great, but she doesn't talk to anybody. Like, is everything okay at home? She's like, oh, at home she talking nonstop. So it was like, but around people, I guess as a kid I was pretty shy. So I'll say like quiet and shy is like the same for me. Okay. And then also same. So, but to give a different word instead of bossy, I'd just say firstborn energy. That's definitely how I was. And then being a girl is different, I feel like, than a boy being firstborn, but also like having a mom as a single parent. We are like responsible for the same things, but I feel like we carry it out differently. So with me having 2 younger brothers under me too, yeah, that was running them little rackets sometimes, but responsibly, Mom. And the last word, I want to say loner, but I wasn't lonely.
Okay.
I didn't mind when I come home. I was like on the computer all the time until I actually started making friends and then wanting to be outside and socialize. But like, I didn't mind just coming home after school and just being on games, video games, Sims, online virtuals. Like, it didn't matter. Like, but I was like a loner in that way because it was just me and my computer.
Solid. I would say shy, creative, and friendly.
Yours was so succinct because you had the most time to think about it.
Yeah. To be honest. Yeah.
So you said shy, creative, and what was the last one?
Friendly.
Friendly. Shy,
Yes.
creative, and friendly. Okay. I have 2 follow-up questions.
Okay.
One that applies to anyone can answer, and then one specifically for you because you mentioned you had 2 younger siblings and they're both boys. So you're the only girl. But I also resonate with that because I'm the only girl, but there were 4. Well,
under you?
No, older than me. 3 older than me, 2 below me, but they didn't grow up with us. They were put up for adoption. So I'm interested in exploring more about like how. Also, you're the firstborn, and I'm the 4th born. So I'm interested in exploring that dynamic, like the differences and even the similarities. So we could talk more about that in a bit. And then my second follow-up question, which in general anybody can ask, was just like when you use those words. So you said shy, creative, friendly. You said shy, quiet, but then you also said loner. And then what was your other word?
Firstborn energy.
Firstborn energy. And then I said, dang, what did I say?
Bossy.
Bossy.
Curious.
And like sensing community or seeking community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering like what were the experiences at that time in your life? Did you feel like it was okay for you to be that way, to like exist in the way that you were existing, or did you ever get like messaging that you shouldn't be acting this way, like you shouldn't be so shy, or you shouldn't be too friendly? Like was there anything that was contradicting how you were existing at that time?
I would say for me, in regards to being friendly, I very much, being the only child, I very much appreciate it and still do to this day, and take it very seriously, friendship, because those was the people that I interacted with. I didn't have siblings who would naturally just be there. So I think as I was growing up, and I feel like everybody ends up having that conversation with their parents about at least one of their friends where your parents is like, that's not your friend. And I was so offended because it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Those are my friends. We're going to be friends forever. Yeah. We're going to grow old together. Like that was very much me from jump. So I had like a set of friends, I always had a set of friends, but in like 3rd and 4th grade, I had like the similar friends for like a few years. And so when I would have birthday parties, I had sleepovers and the same girls would come. And when my mom hit me with the like, you're not friends with people forever like that, and like they might not be your friends, I took it very personally. And I just was kind of like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like in my head, it just felt like, what? No. So I think when I think about friendliness, I think about that. As far as shy, my family is not shy. So you got to really take up space with them. And I didn't know how to take up space. I didn't feel like I was allowed to take up space. People would always speak for me, and like I didn't have the option to say anything because I would process before I spoke. And no shade, no tea, I don't feel like they really sit with things. They just would be so quick. So before I could even answer a question, somebody is saying something for me. Yeah. So that I feel like that kind of pigeonholed me into shyness. Like I wasn't really given space to voice my opinion or voice what my answer was. So yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you for sharing that. How about you, Brie?
There's not anything prominent that's like coming to mind for me because I like was raised in a private school. And so I feel like most of it, because the foundation, we start the morning with Bible study, scripture, stuff like that. And so even though I was like shy and quiet, I was like confident and or are growing to be confident at that time, and who like I'm like, oh, God says these things about me, and this is who I am, and this is like I align with these things, or I'm growing to understand these things. I say that now, grown up, as I'm looking at myself as a kid, but there was nobody that was like, oh, you need to be more outgoing, or oh, you don't, blah blah blah. Like besides my teacher in elementary school making that comment, which I don't remember, of course, but like being in high school and middle school and things like that, I didn't really know you get messaging like that, to be honest.
Well, that's beautiful. I don't think I really received the messaging like directly, but I think there were just things that I perceived or just picked up on. Because I think you become very self-conscious at an early age, or at least I felt very self-conscious at an early age. So I would observe like how other people were, and so if I thought people had qualities that just didn't come natural to me, like I would try to mimic that. I would try to emulate it. But more often than not, like my personality would always shine through. So the bossiness of like me directing my friends and telling them how a social situation should be set up, I think was just probably my way of trying to maintain some type of semblance of safety or control, because I resonate with what you were saying, Gloria, about how there were personalities in your family that were just loud and not shy. And I don't think anyone either was shy in my family. And picking up off of what I pointed out earlier when I was saying you were the firstborn among being the only girl in the household, obviously besides like your mom and stuff like that. But I was the only girl in the household as well. And it was like when you had 3 older brothers who different personalities, but like all very loud and like confident, stuff like that. I tried to emulate that confidence, but even when I really didn't feel that confidence. And so I'm curious, like, because they say oftentimes if you're the younger sibling, you like emulate your older siblings. But with you being a woman and your younger brothers, like I wonder if you ever saw that dynamic, where like they were emulating things from you, or like latching on to things that you really liked because you were the firstborn. I'm curious if that dynamic played out for you.
I wonder if you know which
Sean.
brother. I was gonna say my baby brother. Sean, like if I was dancing, making choreo, he was my dance partner. He was like my first dance partner. And now he does musical theater. He's dancing.
He's a superstar.
Yes. I would work with British accents. Now he does British accents. And now he's teaching me there's actually different types of British accents. So are you from, okay, you know? And I got into baking. He bakes the same things that I used to make fried Oreos, Trace Slave Shakes. He does that to this day. Oh, that's so and then when we went to see him over Christmas, he's like, yeah, I'm trying to cook better than Brie. It's like, you ain't touching me yet, but I appreciate the effort, you know? So with him, like I see it heavily. And he gives me that credit too. And then the brother that's under me, I'm not sure. I'm sure like he looks up to me, but not in the way that he takes after things that I've been interested in. But it's also weird because I have 6 older siblings that are like half siblings, but they're my siblings. That's from they all have the same mom, but it was my dad's first wife. So I'm the firstborn from my mother, and it's just been us 3 since I was like 7. At one point, like all 9 of us lived in a house together. Oh, wow. But like soon after, you know, we moved, and then my mom and me and my 2 brothers, I was responsible for them often. And not even in a burden way where it's like you have to be the mom or something like that, but it's like, oh, like mom won't be home for 2 hours. I have to make sure the door is locked when we get home, and that I walk with them from the bus stop to the front door, and then make sure like we're not disturbing the neighbors so we don't get complaints or people recognize like she's not home, even though it's just an hour and a half till she'll get here, like she'll be back. Right. So like responsibility that a firstborn would take on in that way. But it's weird because I'm like number 7 and my dad's youngest daughter. So I feel that when I'm around them, but I mostly have firstborn energy, but I'm also like baby girl, which is so strange to try to take on 2 different roles.
I love that you have that relationship with your youngest brother. That's really beautiful. And it sounds like very healthy. So thank you for sharing that. And also that dynamic of like the 2, I think I can relate to that, not necessarily in birth order, but just like being the youngest child, and then my brother's really just doing the most And seeing that as like, oh, I have to be more responsible, like taking on responsibility early on or earlier on than maybe would have anticipated had things played out differently or whatever. So balancing that, like being the baby girl, but like I would always hear my mom tell me like, I don't know where you came from. Like you're just so different from the boys. Like, what is that? And I just wonder if that's just like an inherently like feminine or like a female experience. Not that being a woman is monolithic. Like it looks different for everybody, but like just with the sibling dynamic specifically. Right. And then for you, Glow, like because you were the only child, but we've talked extensively on the pod and off camera about kind of like the relationship dynamics with your family and the sense of responsibility that may have played out for you. But with you being the only child in the household, like I'm curious, like when did you become cognizant of that, like or like what it meant for you to be the kind of like the only girl in the household outside of your mom, carrying on like this legacy of, you know, what it means to be a woman and the dynamics that you had to navigate within your family?
That is a heavy question. Can you break it down in two for me?
I'll try, because do I remember what I said? I don't know.
It was good.
I'm just curious, like when it dawned on you, like what being a woman and carrying yourself in a specific way, knowing that you were the only child, because you didn't have other siblings to play off of. So like when did it dawn on you, that sense of responsibility, and what it meant to be like a woman? Does that help?
I think so. I'll try to go for it, and then you just add an extra question.
I will receive whatever you give me.
So I'll start with when did the idea of what a woman is and the responsibility of what a woman does.
Yeah.
I had a false understanding of how a woman should, I think, show up and what her role was. I think that there was a perspective that this part is not false, but to be a woman and to have the parts that you have, if you're a born woman, born female, one, you should never be broke because you have a vagina. Therefore, tying your sexuality to your monetary relief or monetary stature or whatever, however you would say that, right?
Okay.
So I think in regards to understanding what a woman was somebody almost like she had to be a hustler based off of what she had, but based off her body. What else? As far as me being by myself and how that, like, I didn't have anybody to necessarily bounce those ideas off of or tell me that they was wrong, right? I did have friends and stuff, but it's not like we was thinking about those things. I think as a kid, because I was shy, a lot of my family members thought that I was a follower. And so when I would get into things or I would do things, it was always assumed that I was following other people. That was really frustrating because that wasn't the case.
Right.
Most of the time it was my idea. Most of the time it was me. And so I think that, like, because I was viewed or perceived as being opposite of them, shy, not loud, right? Like, my idea of what a woman was somebody who was like, and not to say that I literally sat down and thought like I had to become that, but over time, like, and we'll get into like teenage years, over time, I definitely took that on, like that aggression and that rawr, and I was very like, and what?
You're not gonna tell me nothing.
And who? Because what you talking about? Get down. You know, like, very much like took that on, I think, because of based on what I was seeing. It just the women and how they talked and what they talked about in regards to what you should have and things you shouldn't deal with. And
around a lot of older women too.
Yes, and 100% generation has a lot to do with that. Like
That's what
all
you
of my older, all my family is older. My mama didn't have me till she was 30 something. And I'm the youngest of like the first cousins, I suppose. All of my first cousins is like 40 and 50 years old. So I was around, like, yeah, they was just older. They was very no nonsense, very much like a lot of them had experienced domestic violence, which definitely impacted their perception on regarding men. So I think obviously that tied into how they then viewed themselves, their roles, and like how they show up. There are only a few women in my family who are married. Most of them married and divorced. You know, like, so as far as like seeing a woman in the role of like being a partner to a man and all of that, like, ugh, you know, it wasn't really like, it's kind of like, yikes, like, you know, men don't have a good they don't have a good reputation within my family. So I think that also impacted my perception in regards to like, a woman is no nonsense. She doesn't take anything from a man. She, you know, she directs him, and if he don't want to be directed, he need to get out the way.
So I was going to ask you too, follow up on like how their idea of how a woman is supposed to be around a man impacted you.
Yeah, I mean, it impacted the way I interact with males in general.
But I thought you were going to say something different, like more like catering to or making them more centered. I didn't expect.
Oh no. I mean, now I will say that, like, I will say that, like, the way they has played out, I do think I had a male-centered perspective for a long time, but it was never about like catering to them. It was more about viewing them as a resource of something. You're supposed to be here to provide me something. You're supposed to be, what am I getting from you, from me being
so like
here?
more transactional?
Very much so.
Okay.
And of course, what, you know, like trauma and emotional whatever has me at some point leaning into them and looking for void fillers. But it was very much like, okay, if you're here, then what am I getting? I'm hungry. You should be feeding me. This is what I want. You should be getting it for me. It's very much like
You
that.
You should have seen when we met. Because we're so opposite when we met. Yeah. So she probably saw things that I said surprised, and I'm looking at her like, wow, really? I'm scared to ask. She like, no, if they doing, then they need to be. I'm like,
yeah.
But so there's really like a middle ground now, because like it should be some of both. Like you, because I don't think like if, especially if a man is saying he wants a traditional woman, but then you not like wooing the girl, or you not doing anything, or you just trying to do everything without spending anything or treating her like a princess. So it was more of me figuring out like, okay, yeah, I have value, and for me to recognize that you see that in me, you need to be showing me something. Now, I'm not saying it's money, but usually the things you show involve money. So, that's why I'm like, yeah, actually, if he is all in my face all the time and he want me to go to him and do this, well, maybe like there should be. Yeah. But then
I was far on that spectrum. It was very much like, I've grown a lot, and I think I've learned even when you spoke to like how somebody is in regards to like partnership and romance, right? Like, how is somebody showing up? How are they showing you that they do like you? How are they showing you that they do care about, you as a person? And how are they showing you that, if you are somebody who wants to feel taken care of, what does that look like? And asking yourself that question. I didn't know to ask myself that question. So for me, it was money. But that also had to do with the fact my father was a breadwinner. My mother got like, Social Security or whatever. But like when he was in my life, he drove trucks. He would send us money weekly. Like I started to feel that. When he was gone, it was like, oh, this is very real. You know what I'm saying? And so like back to the question around like the responsibility of the thing, and like, I don't think I was looking at it from a place of like, well, I'm the only child, and so like, and I'm a girl, so I had to show up this way. I think once the extra resources were gone and the reality of what we were living in started to hit, it was like, okay, well, I just got to show up and do what I do. Because again, going back to the women perspective in my family, you do what you got to do. You make it make sense. Use what you got to get what you want and what you need, type thing.
That's so interesting with you adding your dad into it. That's a new thing I learned about you. I didn't know that. But on the other hand, for me, my mom is like, she's very independent. Like, I know her and my dad was married probably till I was like 7, but I can't even remember them like actually being together. And I just remember her saying like, oh, I'm gonna treat you the same way I treat your brothers, because you can't always expect somebody to come save you. So like, you need to be taking out the trash too. I'm like, but why? Like, I get what you're trying to do, but there's actually 2 boys in the house. They can actually do it. But then like, she would make them wash dishes too. And like, you got to cut the grass. Why do I have to cut the grass, Mom? But like, she taught me how to do like everything on my own. So now I have the mindset of, like, I don't have to ask somebody how to do it. I figure out how to do it by myself. So there's a lot of things too, like, I could probably figure out small things, but like putting together something, setting something up, hanging something off a wall, knowing how to find, using a stud, whatever the case, like just learning how to do all the things. And so that's interesting too, that like still being raised by women, but like
different dynamics.
Yeah, different dynamics.
So that's very interesting, and I'm glad that you learned something new.
This is why we do this.
This is why we do this.
Fantastic.
Reflecting and connected. But in listening to both of your perspectives, I had a follow-up question. You had already previously mentioned, like, let's talk about how when we met, because different dynamics and different approaches. But I wonder, another thing I was curious about is, like, both of you are women of God, and hearing with your story, your background is like, well, there's much more autonomy that you learn. There's much more, in, like, maybe not, I don't want to qualify it as hyper independence, but like figuring it out and you mentioned like being the lead or being the head. And I know very much in biblical terms, it's like you're meant to, or at least there's direction that you submit to a man. And so I wonder, like, personally, how you've contended with, or how you have, if it's been a struggle at all with that in your partnerships, or just your relationships with men, even with your brothers, even because even you're the firstborn. So in what ways, like, were your parents, your mother, preparing them to be like the head of something, or to be someone that someone else would look to, and how that may have impacted you? So essentially my question is just like, when you receive that instruction or that direction that like women are to submit to men, how have you reconciled or like approached that personally? I wonder.
That's a fantastic question. My gosh, that's a really good question. Ooh, girl, you own it today.
Okay.
Ooh, that's good, Eve. My gosh, Lord, fill us up. That's good. Ooh, that's a good question. So for me personally, when I know that when people hear that, they're like, oh, I gotta follow a man. That is, as I've taken time to grow in my relationship with God, I understand that that's not, I don't have to just listen to him because he's a man. That is not what's going on. I am not inferior to him. I am not less than just because I'm a woman. That is not what that is. To me, at the end of the day, it comes down to, as the man, are you surrendered to God? One, if you are surrendered to God as your wife, I can then trust your leadership, because you're not being led by yourself. You're being led by Christ, ideally, if you're working towards the relationship and you are being intentional about your relationship with God. When I was just dating, when I was like just dating just to date, and I was just kind of kicking it and spending time with males who did not care really about God or what God had for them, but I really liked them. There was one in particular who I really liked, so much so that he brought a feminine part of me out that I had never experienced before. I really wanted to nurture him and take care of him. I wanted to make him sandwiches. It was very interesting. I had never felt that way before.
Sandwiches, really.
I just wanted to like send him to work with lunch.
Yeah.
It was like, I ain't never experienced this part of myself, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, like, and it came very natural. There was nothing, I just liked him. I liked him, and I liked his masculine energy. I liked how it made me feel, and I just wanted to pour into him from a way of like, just, I want to nurture you. I just want to feed you, you know, like it was very interesting. And so for me, what I learned was that, okay, that came organically. I didn't do anything to get that out. And that was at, you know, that was some years ago. So when I think about my relationship with God and how God is continuing to refine me and mold me and hopefully, you know, help me to become a wife one day, like I can pull back to those moments of like, okay, I know what it feels like to want to pour into a man. So what can it look like for me to pour into a man who believes in God and is trusting God to lead him? So then it helps me be like, well, when I meet that man and when I can feel that, like I'm gonna listen to him. I'm gonna hear what he has to say. I'm not gonna be a pushover. I have my own mind. I can ask questions. I can, you know, make sure that what he's saying makes sense. Ultimately, though, if he does have that relationship, then it's not, to me, it's not me surrendering to him. It's me surrendering to God.
I like that. Clock that. A moment. Yeah, for me, as a little girl and being raised by my mom and then my grandma being like the next supporting role model, there was no, I actually think they gave like a healthy view of, and my mom is like a good example of like a godly woman who, but is also like feminine and loving and nurturing and all the things that you want in a mother and a partner. And I would say she didn't necessarily put on me like when a man comes into your life, this is how you should treat him. But it was more like, you want to be a wife one day. So like, here are the things that you want to walk in to grow in these areas to be like a good partner to someone. Not necessarily thinking of a man and being like, how can you be great for him or make sure everything's fine with him? Be like, if this is the kind of woman that you would like to be, these are the things. So like working on patience, understanding, communication, you know, the fundamentals. And then as I get older, recognizing too, and then also still growing in relationship with God, like, because in dating, men be real quick to think, bring up the submission thing. One, you ain't even cracked the Bible open.
Don't know what it says.
But you heard of that. And so you use that as an example. But also it says, it's talking about submitting to your husband. All right? You're not my husband, babe. You got to get there. So also when it comes to relationship, like loving God and walking in the fruits of the Spirit, and then how you treat me. Are you a good communicator? Are you a good, are you honest? Are you loyal? How do you show up? What does love look like to you? And does that match up with the love that I expect? And the same, like, does the love you want to receive something that I can give you too? Yeah, and I think as I got older and I think about those things, because I too think like relationships don't work out, not because they can't, maybe there's just a lack of similarities or love language is too different or whatever the case is, or just wrong time, wrong place.
No, I just wanted to summarize kind of what I'm hearing so far. So from both of you. And it sounds like clearly maybe it wasn't something that you had to question in terms of the idea of submission and that instruction from scripture or from teachings in the church. You were very much watching and observing, and you said that you had a great role model in your mom, and interrogating and investigating like, okay, well, what really makes sense? And then with you, it was more so recognizing, well, just because you're a man, like that's not what the instruction really is that I need to submit to you. Are you an example? Are you an exemplar of what it means to lead, what it means to be the head? So I interpret that as like it wasn't really a struggle for you in terms of adopting that and living that out. So that's interesting because I would have thought it may have been a little bit more struggle.
Yeah. I feel like the struggle, most of the struggle comes when you're trying to date and someone like a man, if he thinks you're automatically supposed to submit to him because you're a woman. So the struggle comes with like, I know what's right, I have the foundation, but then you're out here in the world and then you see people try to run game on you or test your boundaries, push your boundaries, see if you really hold to the values that you say that you have. And so that's when it's like, okay, yeah, this is not lining up.
Yeah. And I also like being somebody who I didn't grow up in the church in a traditional way. Like I was exposed to I have a Muslim uncle, I have a Jehovah's Witness aunt, my grandfather was Baptist, you know, so like I was given different versions of like how people believed, right? Yeah. And I came to God in my walk really on my own, like really with Christ, just kind of as I was moving, of course, and like when you think through it and you reflect, you see God's hand. I can see God's hand. I can see how he was moving. But I very much like was able to come to him in due time and over time was able to learn and develop. And I think so, yes, the Bible is very important to me and I read it and I it's a living word. I believe that. And I also I'm not only going off of the Bible. Like I'm going off lived experience. God has spoke to me, so I know he's real. I know that, like that's a fact. And then it was more of me learning what does God's word say? Like what are and then like hearing people and having somebody that I can talk to about different things, like to understand and to, like you said, you use the word interrogate. I like that, like to really sit with the things and let time go and pass, right? Like I was not always this version of myself.
Right.
And as I continue to grow into God, I know that like I'm gonna watch some of our episodes and be like, my gosh, why did I say that? But also having the understanding of like that's where you was at the time. And that's okay. You feel me? So like yeah, so like when it comes to even reading the word and seeing, I see what it says. And because it's a living word, I understand that context is important here. I understand that these stories these things were written in a specific time frame, but it doesn't mean that they can't be applied. But how they're applied looks different for me where I'm at right now. So what is the foundation? What is the truth in there that I can then apply? Right. And that's some stuff that's not like no overnight thing.
Yeah.
That's some stuff that just you work it, you throw something. Okay, that worked. That wasn't really right. But that's what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
And so you feel me, the refining, the pressing, you know what I'm saying? Like that continuing to be molded and shaped. Like my shape is what it is right now for where I'm at. My shape is gonna be different. And my shape was something before that worked for me. You know.
I really like that metaphor of like my shape changes and who you are becomes a form. Yeah.
But also my shape is based off of, or what I want my shape to be based off of is what God wants for me, not just what I want my shape to be for myself, because I have free will for that to be the case. I could be whatever shape I want, but is it the shape that's aligned with God's will? That's what the surrender is. So then tying it back to partnership, am I dating somebody who is shaping their self based on what they want? Or am I dating somebody who is letting God shape what they are and who they want to be and where they're going?
Fair.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you both for sharing.
Absolutely.
For me, I did not grow up in the church. And then by the time I was like 15, 16, I became more curious about, okay, well, what does it mean to lead my life in this way? And I became very serious about it. So from the time I graduated high school into my college years is when I was really practicing Christianity and using that as a foundation, as you spoke to, for myself. But and it's funny because I was actually reading some old journaling from like 2021, 2020. And it helped me recognize that I've always been like this deeply like ambivalent person, just about scripts, whether it referred to gender roles, whether it was like faith-based, whatever it was. So I've always interpreted and seen like the contradictions or the inconsistencies in things. And there are times where I'm just like, why do I gotta be that way? Like, why can't I just go along with the thing and be happy and like not think about other stuff? Like, cause it gets annoying. Like it gets exhausting to always be questioning things. But I do think it also is important. And I also did not have too many, I relate with you, Glo, not having too many role models to specify like, well, what does it mean to be a godly woman? Because my mother is also very much older than me, 38 years between us. And a lot of the women in the church were very much kind of like that trad wife, like very traditional, very like stereotypical things that I felt were like outdated and didn't pertain to the modern context of like how women are independent now and things of that nature. So I was just like, I'm not really vibing.
Yeah.
I'm not vibing with that. I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah.
And my brother and his wife have been married for as long as I've been alive. They've been together. I'm 30, so they've been together 30 years. And she is someone that I would count amongst role models because she was like the only other woman that was pretty regular in my life outside of my mom and any other relationships I would have developed with friends or neighbors and things like that. So kind of like to sum up the idea, it is something that I think I struggled with. And I think I did interpret it the way that you specified, where it was like, well, I think the problem comes where the man is like, well, I'm the man, so you have to submit to me because I'm a man and that's what God said. And I was like, well, you're not a good man. So no, I'm not going to submit to you. And then also just struggling too with like the first male that you have in your life to kind of be the example of what it means to be a head or a leader is your father. And my dad was not a great example of that either. So I guess what I'm realizing is like imposing the question to the both of you, knowing that you are women of God and you do practice the faith now, but your journey, I think, is probably very much shaped by not only your experiences, but also just kind of like just the coming into yourself and finding that alignment for yourself rather than everything. Because I think sometimes with different sets of Christians that I've known in my life, some people are like very fundamentalist, and it's like whatever the pastor says, whatever the church, that body dictates, that's exactly what they try to like emulate or follow. And they don't really have, I love when you said earlier, like having your own mind, but not to lean too far into your own understanding, but to check and interrogate, is this really aligned for what I think God is leading me to? So I think that distinction is important. But for me, it was just like, I think a lot of people get turned away from the church because they do watch the body that represents the church and they put too much stock and authority on what other Christians are doing, and they lose sight of like, well, what is God actually telling me, or how does God's voice show up? Because they're not really giving themselves the opportunity to sit with what that is. And you have to give yourself space to interrogate in order to know what it is.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you might be wrong, sometimes you might be right, but like time will tell, essentially. So I say all that to say, I realized by me posing the question to you both, it was because for me, my experience has been much more contentious and like just like inquisitive.
So I kind of want to transition us, but before we go into like our facts and stuff, I do want to pose like the question around when we're thinking about like what influenced how we performed our gender, specifically for, because we hit on childhood, but specifically for our teenage or our lady time, like either now or when you were teenagers, what is like one or two things that was influenced and how you showed up as a teenage girl or a woman, or how you show up as a woman today?
One for me, as you get older, and also again being like a woman of God, you become more mindful of how you dress. So dressing kind of becomes like almost like unconsciously, you don't even realize like, oh, I'm more conservative. I mean, Sometimes. But when you go to certain spaces, like dressing appropriately for the occasion and being mindful of like where you're going, you don't just wear whatever. Also always like being together. Same with your hair. My parents be like, you ain't going out with me looking like that. You gotta do your hair. You can't go with me to this function when your hair not done. So like being a lady, being put together, having your hair done, dressed appropriately, and that's the first thing that stuck out to me was dressing.
Okay.
And parting yourself in a certain way. I never was into purses, but then as soon as I start using them, it wasn't allowed to be on the floor. I don't get that. It's a cheap purse. It's $10. What you mean you can't go on the floor? It gotta, because then luck. even in church,
that's what they say. Listen,
even in church, the ladies have a seat just for their purses. Lady, I'm trying to be close. I want to hear the pastor and I want to worship the Lord. If you don't move your bag, so I can't. So it's like and then keep your legs crossed a certain way. You got to have posture. All these small things. And somehow I've slowly acclimated to some of them without realizing. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but just still one of those kind of like conditional societal things that happen that you don't know that's associated with gender.
Fair. That's good.
Has something come to mind for you, Glow?
I would say how I perform my gender. I'm thinking about how I show up in my gender as it pertains to like relationship, romantic relationship.
Do you think there's a difference, like a distinct difference between how you show up as a woman when you're not partnered and how you show up as a woman when you are partnered?
I don't think there should be. I think that maybe something that let me see, because this is not a fully formed thought. So as being friends with people, I show up in a specific way. When I am dating someone, because there are expectations, I can get kind of I used to get pretty intense with like being very like, I don't like that. Ooh, what does that mean? Like, I like seeing all of the things that I didn't like very quickly, and then kind of becoming not very kind all the time because of the imperfection. And I think it was based on how I believed he should show up. But also was I taking the time to ask myself, how was I showing up as a woman in that situation, right? So when we talk about like being patient and being kind, having the fruits of the spirit, was I walking in those things? I wouldn't say all the time, no. It is easy for me to do that as a friend. But when it was coming to romantic relationships, it was not as easy. And I think it was going back to what, being younger and having this like, well, if I'm going to be in this relationship, what am I getting out of it? Is this right for me? Is he using me? Because he can't use me. I got to make sure that I'm not being used. So I'm going to be nitpicking every single thing to make sure that like, if he's not right, he got to, get right or get out type thing. So it's like a magnifying glass that like, and I think it's interesting because my perspective as being a woman now, I want to, there's this thing that everybody is saying like, I'm just a girl or like living a soft life, soft girl era. And I think that's speaking to like, you just want to be in your feminine energy. Like you just want to be soft. You don't want to be hard. You just want to talk low and not think and whatever else. Right. And so, I'm not claiming the soft girl era per se, but I am recognizing where the hyper independence from being a parentified or whatever, parentification and all that stuff. Like I'm recognizing how those things were keeping me from putting down the masculine energy sometimes. And I was always leading with that. And it was showing in aggression. And it was showing in the way that I was interacting, especially when I was dating. And so like now I'm like, it's okay. First of all, it's okay to have both. It's okay to be masculine and feminine. We all have that. We all have those energies, if that's what we want to call it, right? And some folks are a little more masculine than others. And I would say I'm one of those people. I just have a certain masculine aura. It doesn't make me less of a woman. It doesn't mean that I'm not feminine. It doesn't mean that I can't be soft. It's just that my softness might look different. And that's okay, right? And so not letting the soft girl era thing make me feel like how I show my softness is not correct or is not right. And that who I am is just who I am. What I am is what I am, right? Like there are different, you talked about, there are different types of women. We all show up differently. We all feel differently. Like there may be some alignment and there might not be, and that's okay because we're people at the end of the day. We're all human beings, individuals. And there are similarities across various things, right? And so just being okay with like how I woman, essentially, and recognizing that how I woman is good and how she woman's is good and how she woman's is good, right? The last thing I'll say is I have a new friend who I enjoy how she womans. I like her womanness. And I think that having that's a new perspective that I recently had when I like met her, and I just seen certain things, and it wasn't like it was something new. It was just like, wow, I really like how you woman, and I like how it shows up on you. You know what I'm saying? So being able to see that in somebody else, then it's like help me reflect on like, this is how I woman, this is my way, and that's cool.
Thank you both for sharing. I think I agree with the sentiments that you were reflecting towards the end, Glow, about accepting the diversity and how people perform gender. I think what influenced my performance of gender as a teenage girl is still very much the same thing of whatever I perceive to be useful or successful or just good, I would try and emulate. But I think now when I recognize that this doesn't really feel, something doesn't feel natural, it's just, it doesn't come organically for me. Like when I'm aware that I'm performing in a certain way, I might just put down whatever it is I'm trying to emulate, because it's just like, you don't like, what is informing why you think you need to be this way or why you think you need to exist this way. So I think I just continue to reflect on whatever qualities I seem to relate to or whatever qualities I seem to resonate with in other people that I meet. I want to nurture that, but I want to be careful of like, I'm not trying to like be a chameleon and copycat other people. Like I still want to feel like authentically myself. So I think more nowadays, I think I like to kind of reject the notion of like masculine and feminine energy, or even using like specific categories for certain things, because it's just like, for every person that exists in the world, they exhibit a human quality. They exhibit humanity, and it's like, it's a part of being human. It doesn't mean like, oh, that's a manly thing to do or that's a womanly thing to do. It's just a person is doing it and a person is capable of it. And if like it's something that when you sit back and you reflect, it feels true of you, then you can continue to move that way. And if it doesn't feel true of you, then choose a different way, respond accordingly. So I think that's something I want to lean into more because of how critical I can be of self, and how I relate to others, especially other women, given that, again, like being the only girl among boys in the household, and then really wanting to seek out community with other people, but like rejecting certain stereotypes because I'm just like, well, I'm not really like that. Like I wasn't a girl that was like raised to like well, you only have to play with Barbies. I did play with Barbies. I also play with brats. I also like playing with like cars and stuff like that. Like I was probably labeled a tomboy, and I adopted that identity too because I was like, well, I would grow up around all boys. Like there's no, I don't have sisters, so like, what do you expect from me? You know? So I say all that to say, I like that we frame the question that way. Like, how do you perform your gender? Because it is a performance, and I think it becomes an identity based on what you know or what you agree is like true and what aligns with you. Mm-hmm. So, and that looks different for every person, and we should respect how every person is showing up. Mm-hmm. As as long as it's not harmful. As long as it's not harmful. Because we not about to respect any kind of disrespect or just violence of any kind. So absolutely. for sure. But yeah, for this segment that we're transitioning into, kind of wanted to continue exploring the idea of the performance with gender and tying it to like historical context. So we each took some time and looked at different aspects of society that may have influenced the gender role, specifically the gender role of woman. And we wanted to pinpoint what has been a shift from something that was more oppressive and restricting like what it means to be a woman in society to something that's more liberating. So we'll each go through like changes in healthcare, changes in socioeconomic responsibilities, and as well as like political changes. So where do you think we should start?
I'm happy to kick it off. I do think there's some overlap between yours and mine.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, political, social. Yeah. So yeah.
Let's keep
yeah. So my two that I decided to highlight, mine was the political changes. Mm-hmm. And they definitely correlate. So the first one I went back to 1848. Oh, yeah. I said, let's dig. Let's get deep in there. Okay. So New York actually is the one who passed this act. It's called the Married Women's Property Act. Okay. And so basically this granted women control over their own property. Now, what was interesting about this was that
this was New York, 1848?
Yes. So what was interesting about this is before, now I don't know when this covered the whole United States, right? Yeah. But what was interesting before this act is that when a woman married a man, basically if she came in, if her family had some wealth or inheritance or whatever, as soon as she married him, it became his. Right. So in the case that like she basically didn't have no say so over her own inheritance. Yeah. Essentially. Ew. And so this act shifted that. So that now, in the case that he died or they divorced or whatever, she still had rights to what was hers when she came in. So I thought that was interesting. And then my next one kind of connects with this one because it also shows how, like, they be passing a law. They be passing a little policy. Malcolm X said they'll put a knife in your back, pull it out just 2 inches, and then say that that's, like, better. The knife is still there. Yeah. So that's what this made me think of. My next one was 1974. And this is the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. This allows women to be able to apply for credit cards, loans without a male cosigner. Oh. So even if my sister,
1974, my brother was born in 1978. 1978. That's only 4 years before he was born.
Listen, we ain't too far away. Dang, we ain't too far away. Okay, Jeez. It ain't been too long. So basically this gives financial independence. It outlawed discrimination in lending based on sex or marital status. So again, like I was saying before, the one before, you marry a man and basically everything if you come in with something, it's his. And then the next one, this helps you be able to apply for credit cards and mortgages loans without the male cosigner. So even if you weren't married, you still might need a brother to sign for you. And last but not least, like when I was reading into kind of like where did this whole like system essentially where was it established from? Don't quote me, look it up for yourselves. But a lot of this came from a word that I don't remember. I'm not gonna butcher it. but like kind of like a British foundation where it's like coming from the royal piece where the royals had to have a boy for them to carry the inheritance, right? And if you didn't have a boy, then it's lost in the sauce, essentially. So they talked about there was like one king or something, he had all girls. So when he died, none of the girls could take his inheritance. And then not only that, it was so deep that he had a sister who had a son, and ideally the nephew should have took it, but because the nephew was from the sister, he couldn't get it either. And it was like, so stupid. And all of this is coming from like royal family, British, whatever, like, and we was following it for a long time, bro. So yeah, those are my two. I was like, this is really interesting. Like when you just think about ownership and what's yours. And I thought about like being married, and if you were a woman who was coming into a marriage with some type of inheritance, the fact that like you get married and now that's his. And he get to say so. Excuse me?
Like, these are my things.
Yeah.
What do you mean they're yours now? No.
What are you talking about?
I'm gonna leave with my things. If I need to leave. Crazy work. Did you want to go next, Brie, or did you want me to go next? You can go. Okay. So I was focused on socioeconomic responsibilities, and there's definitely overlap with political changes, but the prompt or the question that I kind of typed into my research to research was like, well, what were the changes over time? And interestingly enough, I found that like not every early society had very strong patriarchal norms, which everything was assigned to the man. There were actually societies like in Ireland and Germany that did afford legal rights and leadership to women. And they participated in like trade and had land ownership. And I was just like, oh, so we didn't start there. Right. So, and it actually brought up in the two articles that I had been reading that kind of with the introduction of like Christianity and colonialism is when it became more solidified in society that we're going to adhere to patriarchal norms, making the man kind of like the center of everything, and giving them all the rights to decide how women should exist in society, which is crazy. Because the fact that like for you to be here as a man, you came from a woman.
Hello?
And you're dictating to me how I can be.
Hello? How did you get here?
That's crazy.
Hello?
Like the delusion.
We talking about
the delusions of grandeur with that one. Crazy. So that was something that I found interesting, and I just wanted to point that out is like, you know, the starting point isn't always what we think. So when you brought up like, well, we're getting this from British society, it's just like, well, I don't know about Britain specifically, but like at least in surrounding areas of Europe and the UK, early societies were not necessarily assuming strict adherence to patriarchal norms. And then something else that I found was an article that was written from a sociology perspective. And it was talking about how there are kind of like two primary things influence like a woman's status in society. And that's typically going to be whether or not they have access to like any kind of financial freedom or like participating in the labor force, which also goes back to like land ownership as well. And then also just like the socialization of women. And a lot of what the research article is pointing out is like, or it wasn't a research article, but the article was pointing out was a lot of the socialization around like how women are to be and what rights and access we are afforded has been framed from like a very patriarchal, very Christian, like very like just narrow-minded point of view of like just seeing women as inferior. And I felt like, oh, that just affirms not only lived experiences that women have had, past, present, or maybe even future, just depending on how well we get with the program of like women are equal to men. There isn't a disparate difference outside of maybe some biological factors, but like we equally have value, we equally contribute to society, but based on how a society views the contributions of women, that's changed over time. And it also reflected about like how the feminist movements, the first wave, the second wave, and then the introduction of like intersectional feminism have all helped to deepen our knowledge and understanding, and how that's also helped to improve our status as women, like where we fall in on a hierarchy, so to speak. But like we still got plenty of strides to make, room to grow. Yeah, we still have work to grow. What did you find?
I found about 2 or 3 different women that kind of helped to break or change things that segregated women from men. And one, because I also kind of went back, was like in 1855. There's a lady named Dr. Mary Edwards Walker. Yeah, she was a white woman. And she had like started this small kind of surgery business with her husband, but it ended up not working out because one, she was a woman, and because of how she dressed, she liked wearing trousers, and so she got rejected, and people, like, her whole thing got closed down, and it was in New York, but because she was a woman and she was wearing trousers, the whole thing got shut down. So she ended up trying to go to the military and being like an officer or something, and they rejected her. But instead, she got to come on as like a surgeon during a war. And while she was there, and she was on the front lines helping bandaging people, performing surgery, she had got captured by one of the enemies, and she was like in prison for 4 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but she did end up getting rescued, and because of that and the time that she served, she's the only woman ever to receive the medical, like the Medal of Honor.
Wow!
Still to this day.
Shut up.
There's no other woman. And again, so the Medal of Honor is the highest military decoration awarded by the U.S. government.
Oh,
so,
my gosh.
Yeah.
And how many more women have served in
I
the
know.
military?
Oh,
Wow. Please continue. That's
insane.
Yeah. So, that was it with her, because I was like, there has to be somebody else. There's been nobody since that time, and she was awarded it in 1865.
That's crazy.
Yep. And then they tried to take it. They tried to rescind it in 1917 because they changed the rules around like what qualifies it. Yes, but she said no. She refused to give her medal back, and she kept it until her deathbed.
That's right.
And then they ended up reinstating it back to her in 1977 because, of course, they tried to claim it after she passed, but they're like, we don't.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that word was in there too.
The way.
Posthumously, something like that.
The way. How y'all gonna try to take it away from her?
She said, you can't take it from me, and she didn't let them. She took it to her grave.
That is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm taking it with me.
But I was like, all over how you dressed, it didn't matter that she was more than qualified to do her job.
She wanted to wear pants.
She wanted to wear pants. And then that led to the way towards there's a Black lady who named Jenny, Miss Jenny, and Jenny Joseph. She studied midwifery, which I wanted to do. In her home country in the UK. You know all about that, don't you? Yes. Then she moved to Florida to try to do the same thing, but there was a lack of education and guidelines when it came to it. So she like kind of spearheaded, creating the practice and women being recognized in that field to be able to do that. And she brought more knowledge to it. And so she advocated for that. She's like the first Black woman that has a private midwifery facility. Yeah. Yes. And it says her rates have increased birth outcomes and birth rates for greater than 40% for women of color.
Wow. Wow.
She almost has no mortality rates, like when it comes to them coming to her hospital to receive care.
Wow.
Like that. It's 40% greater than the national average.
My gosh.
So I was like, queen.
Come on now.
The medical industry operates on a business model.
Yes, they do.
No, honey.
Yeah, no.
Functional.
Yes.
Functional.
Yeah. Wow.
So those are my two when it came to healthcare and that side. And then of course I did our standard Roe v. Wade, even though it was overturned recently. But the case in itself, I saw that the woman, like, she was on her third pregnancy. The woman who fought the case, like, who went with her lawyer, she was on her third pregnancy. She didn't want to have the baby. And she's like, it doesn't make sense that the only way for me to have an abortion is unless I'm going to die. So then her case just really stipulated like trimester stages. Like, okay, it's fine within first trimester. Second trimester is okay as long as something, and then third is not possible to have one. And so the overturning of it now recently, though, just left it up to the states to determine the policy for each government. But the case was still huge for its time, and it had lasted a long time before it was recently overturned. So that's why I thought it was still interesting to put in there. And it started in Texas.
Most there.
I didn't know that bit about how her case helped with establishing trimesters. I didn't know that terminology didn't come in to that case. I would have thought that would have already been a thing. So wow. Yep. The U.S. government.
Tomato.
Well, that was interesting. I love that even though we expected there to be overlap, still very differing
that was good.
Facts that we were able to share. So yeah, definitely we'll plug that into the description of this episode so that if you want to read for yourself, you'll have that information. I think to close out this episode, we are going to transition into a new segment, which we're calling Writer's Block. It's a double entendre, simply because writer's block is a phenomenon you may experience if you're a writer. You may get stuck and just can't really produce when you want to, but also we're going to invite you to our block so you can hear our writings. You hear it? You see it? You see it? You see it.
Pull up.
And so Glo has a piece she would love to share. And so the floor is yours.
All right. So this piece, this is actually one of my favorite pieces. I wrote this a few years ago, and it's just, I was in my bag. You know, I'm very impressed with this. I'll say.
That's right.
All right. So this is called Who I Be. All right. I am. I am her, goddess of the sunlight, melanin queen. From me streams life, big L. I am she, the woman of yellow, red, orange, blue, green, whatever color you mention, it look good on me. I am her that carries her mother, brother, sister, friend, as if they were a part of her own skin. She who will always open a door, no matter how many are closed on me. I am your sister, your friend, your lover too. What you do to me, you do to you. I am light pouring in when you're running low, knowing that joy can be found in any room. It's all about how far you're willing to go. I am comfort when it's nice, truth when it's necessary, a lover every day, and a fighter by generational spirit. Now, who are you? May I see? Now that I have allowed you to see who I be? Poem.
I knew it would be great. I knew it.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Thank you.
Have you posted that one before?
I have, yeah.
Because it felt familiar.
That was it was what is it called? Featured in it was featured in a few things throughout.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
The line that sticks out to me is like, I speak the truth or when necessary. I was like, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Heavily felt.
Heavenly.
Hello. Hey, come on now. Play with
it. That's nice. And I like it explores like the wow, there's a specific word that I'm searching for and it's escaping me, but it explores kind of like I'm just gonna say diversity, but diversity is not what I was looking for. Or like the vastness of like being a person, being a woman specifically, especially when you open with like, I am her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you need to be able to claim that.
You
like,
got to.
And what her is to you looks different for
everybody.
What it is to Bree, looks different from what it is to me. But like, you have to know your standing.
Yes.
For yourself.
Good.
First and foremost.
Stand in it.
So I love that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think, for me, as we were talking and discussing, I think the poem, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this was perfect. Because essentially it is your being, right? Like it is your being, it is your shape, it is your form. And yes, it speaks to being human. It speaks to being woman. It speaks to Black woman. You know what I'm saying? And being a Black woman, is such a experience that you only really know if you know. You only really know if you know.
Valid.
And so while it can be heavy, it is definitely an honor for me to have come into this world as a Black woman and to have Black women to engage with and speak to and learn from. You know what I'm saying?
You are the Black woman.
Period. Thank you. You too, babe.
If there had to be a face for it, it's hers. If you know, you know.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate that very much. And before I check us out, I actually read that at the Juvenile Justice Center for boys. And I read that to a class of young men. And I read a few things that was their favorite. So I think that, yeah. I was in my bag with that one. I wrote that was some random stuff, and every time I read it, I'm like,
damn, you really snapped.
That's good. So yeah, if you ever need a pick me up, listen to that. Stand in that, write those lyrics down. Say that, because you are her, y'all are her, we are her, you are her. So anywho, takeaways. Let's check out.
Takeaways from this conversation. I guess I am feeling compelled to really sow whatever it is that is going to affirm my confidence. So if that's affirmations, if it's reading old journals and getting to put up a mirror to an older version of myself and seeing where are we aligned, where are we not, where have I grown, where am I still struggling. I want to prioritize that, because I think in these last few months my confidence has been shot. And so questioning a lot of things about my self-concept and transitioning in different ways. So I want to really lean into that, and I think this conversation has helped with that, because even if I didn't get to respond to everything that I was hearing either of you say, the thoughts that were coming up, really want to continue sitting with those and seeing where that leads me. So that's one of my takeaways.
Good.
So thank you both for participating in this conversation.
Thanks for being here, girl.
Thank you.
Bree, takeaways?
Well, I'm recently in a relationship after 7 years of singleness. Almost 8, really 7.5, so it's almost 8. And I am relearning now in a more mature space, which honestly is kind of grateful for.
Yeah.
But I am relearning what it is like to be a partner, how to do that as a grown woman, and giving myself grace for if I feel like I'm messing up or oh, I'm not used to this, I haven't done this, and it's okay. It's a learning process. And letting go of things that I thought this is what it looked like and it's not. And again, what you were saying, whatever feels good to me and it aligns with me, it felt right, and walking in that, and as long as it's also rightfully serving my partner too.
That's good. I think, my overarching takeaway today is just really sitting with the fact that we are not done. We are ever changing, ever evolving. And if we continue, if it's God's will for us to continue to live and be present, then we will be ever changing. And being open to that and what that is, being open to the lessons that gives us, and being able to say, not that I'm too old for this, but I've lived too long to deal with that, to let you do that. I've lived too long for you to be trying to play me, because I'm her, and I've earned that. I came in here being her because I was made that way, but then I lived and I stepped into that, and I earned that. So I've lived too long for you to try to come along and do some shit that,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having the confidence to stand in that, whatever that means, regardless of what that means. I gotta stand by myself, right? being her with people around and being her when it's just me
Mm.
and remaining.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Powerful stuff.
That's the quiet part out loud.
It is.
All right. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review. If you're listening and would like to watch, head on over to www.youtube.com/QPOL-216. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the next episode. Peace.